Hi, we're YGC, and we've been getting a lot of questions about life at Yonsei. Today we're speaking with Mason He, a recent graduate from Yonsei University Graduate School of International Studies, about his time at Yonsei University and how it has prepared him for life after graduation. Mason worked at a company in Korea shortly after graduating and is currently based in Shanghai. We hope this interview can help current and prospective students. Let's get started.
My name is Mason. I'm originally from the US. I was born and raised there, and I did my undergraduate in California. I did a double major in Chinese and International Relations at UC Davis, which stands for University of California, Davis. Graduated during the pandemic, and then I didn't really have a clue of what I wanted to do, career-wise. I did some internships and part-times, and then I decided to go to Korea, and I did some language training, and I did that for a while while doing some part-times to kind of support myself there. And then I came to realize I really loved Korean, so then I just chose to apply for the Yonsei University GSIS, so the Graduate International Studies. So I did a major in international trade, finance and management. I entered 2022, and then I graduated actually last year, 2024. And now I'm currently in Shanghai working. So I applied for Yonsei GSIS, and I don't think I have an interesting story on why I chose international trade. I guess it kind of aligned with what I studied previously in my undergraduate, because I did study international relations, and I knew that choosing international trade finance management, there is some kind of relation, and some of the basics or the classes that we had to take, I already learned some of it back in undergraduate, but I was hoping to learn more about maybe something that's more business related, especially since they have a third track called Global Strategy Management, which focus more on so it's a little bit more on the MBA side. So I got to learn more about how Korea, how global business is conducted and from a Korea lens perspective. I would say coming into Yonsei at the time, so I entered fall of 2022, and I remember that the pandemic was still going on, but we were still trying to it was at a situation where they were easing restrictions. I vividly remember that we could go outside, but if we're outside we didn't have to wear masks, but of course at the time before indoors we still had to wear masks in general. But I think during the COVID time period, it was kind of a slump for me, or maybe just for everyone, because the lack of meeting in person and just everything online. I think that kind of inspired me to be a bit more, to kind of push past my comfort zone. And then I did something very, very kind of scary and new. I decided to create a language exchange club, which I would have never done in my undergraduate, because I really consider myself to be a very shy, timid person in general. But I don't know, a spark kind of just came to me, and then I just felt this rush of energy and motivation to want to just connect and then meet more people, make more friends. So I did that. I went through it without any expectations. I thought it was just going to be a fluke, because sometimes when I get into certain hobbies, I kind of quit halfway if it doesn't work out. But in the beginning, I actually did get a lot of interest, and so that kind of pushed me to just find a good team of friends to help support with this initiative. And like fast forward to like the next year, like I met like a lot of cool people, and and it was like an opportunity for me to just be more creative and inspire me to kind of branch off to like other parts, like while studying at Yonsei. So yeah, just it's just like a very precious memory that I'll like never forget. First one was probably MT. It's just like a very, very typical like thing you do when you're an international student in Korea. Like you join MT membership training. That's like the highlight of the Korean cultural experience for international students who just like you know went to Korea trying to like fit in language and culture wise. Yeah, MT was very very interesting. I don't know if I want to do it again, but I think I joined the student association, and then we were like every semester they were like always in charge of like managing MT each semester as like a way for, especially for like the newer students, to join and kind of mingle and like meet new people and kind of get involved in school activities. So I remember that, you know, it was just like a lot of work, lots of logistics side. Yeah, it was pretty hard, especially since we had to like, because usually with MT, like you usually don't sleep, you just stay up throughout the night. People just like eat, drink, play games, like play social games, whatever. So yeah, it was pretty difficult, but I think there are like a lot of cool and funny like memories that are kind of still like installed in my brain. So studying at Yonsei, you meet with like a lot of people from like different backgrounds, different cultures, different languages. There's like a lot of opportunity for you to understand how, you know, people just will tend to have some differences, and also some, you know, you also find some like common values, similarities to like other people. Just like talking to people, or just like becoming more active on campus and just communicating with like different people in general. I feel like I realized that, like, you know, although we do share a lot of cultural differences, we do share some similarities, and it really comes into play when we focus on the values, I guess. We kind of consume the media and know like what's going around the world, and then when you communicate with different people, and also when you make friends, you know, you tend to share different views, opinions. And I think the biggest thing about studying or just working with other people, because like at GSIS, we actually tend to have like a lot of group presentations, so you kind of are kind of forced into that environment to just kind of work through it. I think at Yonsei in general, just knowing how to balance working with people who just are going to have different views and opinions with you, and then that's not something you can change. You know, instead of just like disagreeing and then having like complaints and then like arguing with them, I think it's very important to kind of find the middle ground. And, you know, at the end of the day, we just want to finish this presentation. We just want to finish this project. Whatever differences you have, you know, kind of just drop it, and, you know, just remember that you're a team. So I think that experience kind of helps me with the current career I'm working at. I'm working with like international education programs. So you can imagine that like cultural competence or like cultural awareness is like a really big thing in this field. You know, there's certain things that don't necessarily translate well into other cultures, especially like with Korea. You're not used to people saying like a direct no. They aren't really direct there in Korea. That's compared to like, you know, in the Western world, maybe in the US or Europe, like where it's just all blunt and we'll be honest. So just having those type of skills, just awareness in general, I think that's like a pretty critical asset to have. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. When I was younger, I was like even more scared now to kind of take risks and step outside of my comfort zone. I really remember like when I was a freshman, I was still kind of stuck playing it safe in general. Naturally, like I got to connect with more people, which made it easier for me to make friends after that. Just don't be afraid to go after your dreams. If there's something that you want to do or aim for it, just do it. Sometimes you need to make those mistakes to learn and have that prior experience. If we didn't have that, then we would all just be perfect. And there's nothing. If we're all perfect, then there's nothing for us to learn. Because I feel like if we're all perfect in general, like, it'd be kind of boring. Just learning through the process, kind of makes it fun and interesting. I think to an extent. So just to give you like a rough idea, like during my language studies, I did do probably close to 2 years of working kind of like something that's more related to international education wise, and like working with like foreigners in Korea. The experience that I gained through that was just knowing how to be a bit more independent with my skills, what it's like to like work under like a Korean environment, especially with my last job at Korea. Although the work was in English, I still have to like use Korean. My colleagues don't really speak much English. So just kind of like pushing yourself, knowing what's right or what's wrong. But sometimes like you can't really tell what's right or what's wrong. You just have to kind of like see it for yourself. Those experiences have allowed me to see how I want to like approach with my future career. So right now in Shanghai, I don't really use a lot of Korean speaking at my job, except for like if I'm on site for like a education abroad program in Korea. Because I did have a business trip earlier this May, I was able to help out with some logistics, like communicating with hotel staff or just teaching students Korean. Those are probably one of the times where I get to like use some of my Korean. Other times, it's like resources in general. Like I work a lot with like using Naver, so I think to an extent I'm still able to use like Korean skills. I think the biggest thing was probably just like Korea and China share like some similarities in like work styles. Yeah, working in Asia is not easy. You have to have the right mindset for it. You have to learn the ways how it's done here. I think a lot of it is just like the cultural environments, those like little things that you have to catch up for on how you want to communicate with certain people. I think those are probably the biggest things. Well, first of all, for exchange students, I think Yonsei is a good school to choose, especially if you're interested in studying in Korea, is because so Yonsei has been like, it's not just like one of the oldest schools in Seoul, but it tends to have like a lot of existing partners with like other schools like worldwide, because they have that prior experience of like managing exchange programs for international students. I feel like they have like the upper hands and like providing support for international students, whether it's like foreign language support, classes, orientation. Yeah, I feel like Yonsei has like probably one of the best resources in general, what they can provide for international students. Yeah, before like I initially even started like the exchange application when I was an undergraduate at Yonsei, like there were like a lot of details and planned. At least for my school, they had like an office at Yonsei to kind of help support the students from there. But even like if your school or organization doesn't have like an office, like a physical office at Yonsei in general has a very welcoming environment and space for international students. So it's actually quite easy to kind of apply and get into in terms of exchange program. And then what other part, like if you're interested in studying like full time, like whether it's like undergraduate, graduate, or like even postgraduate, yeah, Yonsei, like again, I think kind of similar going back to like what I mentioned, like it has like one of the best materials, resources. I mean, it's also like one of the top schools in Korea, like, you know, Sky and everything. So I feel like for certain people who do care about like, you know, about that, you know, Yonsei does already fulfill that. And if you're worried about like, if you're worried about your Korean language skills, like if you're lacking Korean language skills and just like want something that's a bit more foreign language environment friendly, Yonsei tend to have like a lot of local students and also international students who just speak pretty decent English, very good English, I would even say. So I think with that, you know, it's like one of the best choices in terms of that. I think in terms of academics, I think it really depends on like which major, which department you're into. I think that will require you to do a little bit of research. So to determine if Yonsei will be the right school for you. If you're into like programs that are like mostly in English, honestly, Yonsei, it wouldn't be a problem at all. Like for like GSIS, like everything, well, it's English, and then they also provide like master's programs, classes in Korean, Chinese, and I think even Japanese. So at least for that department, like they already have it down. I know for an undergraduate there is like under college, if I'm correct, that program is all in English. Yeah, I think in terms of that, it really depends on like if you think the classes are a fit for you personally. It really depends on your academic goals. Yeah, because to be honest, like there might be some classes that might be like hit or miss. So I think just doing a lot of research, and if you have any friends or if you don't have any friends, just like kind of look into people's like first experiences of like, you know, what they had academic wise, I would say. I think that'd be good. In terms of like entertainment, like, you know, social life and everything, I think it's kind of like a mixed. I think as an international student, I've heard a lot of stories where like there might be some certain clubs, especially the main campus clubs, that there might be some restrictions for like if you don't speak Korean or not. But I think that might be applied for exchange students because like they're only staying for like short term. So I think if you're studying like just like typical 4 years, wouldn't be a problem. There's actually like a lot of clubs at Yonsei that are actually quite like foreign language friendly. I can't recall the names of the clubs, but I do recommend people to kind of check out the orientation or during like the club campus events on sites. There's actually quite like a lot of options for international students in general. And so with that, I think those are probably good reasons. Oh yeah, final reason, I mean, Yonsei, like Shincheon, like you have good access to like a lot of like entertainment. Shincheon Hongdae is like the place to hang out, especially when you're a student, you're young, there's like a lot of bars, restaurants, and it's convenient. You know, I think, and on one of the questions, I always told like everyone to like do a lot of research. But sometimes, even if you do like a lot of research, you know, there's some things that, you know, once you get to Korea or just, you know, getting there to experience the whole thing for yourself in person, that's when you know. But, you know, I think another thing I would tell people is probably like, I guess don't have too high expectations, you know, just in general. You know, people come to study in Korea for like different reasons. I think some people do come to Korea and kind of have this fantasy that, it's like what they see in like the Korean dramas, right? Or like K-pop, kind of like all that influence that you see on like the media and online. Not saying it's everyone, but some people may have that kind of reality distorted. So I would just say please don't like have too high expectations. The reality of Korea is that it's pretty rough, especially if you want to stay in Korea to like find a job. Like it's extremely difficult for international students. If you're fluent in Korean, like your chances are like a lot higher, but if you're not fluent in Korean, yeah, your chances are pretty slim. So yeah, just be mindful of that. Like career-wise, I wouldn't want people to be too stressed about that because your school life is like probably one of your best moments that you'll have before like working officially. So obviously you still want to have a balance of like having fun, just enjoying every moment of it, but also be aware of like expectations and reality career-wise. I think that's probably a lot of the things that I see or that I hear from like my friends and other classmates. Can it be inside Yonsei?
Sure.
The library.
Definitely.
The main library, specifically, like the main library, like the Samsung library area. Like I'm really lazy on like reserving seats to like study. So a lot of the times I would just go to the Samsung library section area and I would just like pick a seat to like study or chill. I don't know if it's like the best meal I've had, but I think it's because of like the people I was with, like it kind of made the meal a lot more like delicious and appetizing than expected. I love barbecue, so like there is this place in Shincheon. I can't remember the name, but it's basically like a Muhan refill, like samgyeopsal place in Shincheon. Yeah, like any one of those is like really good. This is really random, but there's this Korean word I've learned previously. It's kind of like still stuck in my head. It's called 애매하다. Like, I feel like if you translate that into English, maybe like vague or ambiguous. I don't know. I feel like the pronunciation is just like very cute. 애매하다. I don't know. This is very funny use for me, and when I have the opportunity, I just use that word. Honestly, all three of them kind of equally. I don't know, because like library, yes, for studying, but then cafes is probably like a mix of studying or like socializing with friends, and I love coffee. And then 노래방 is like a place where like if I'm like really stressed or if I'm kind of bored, I like to go to 노래방s by myself and yeah, just sing alone, kind of just jam out, have me time. But 노래방 is also like a good activity to have, like, when you're hanging out with your friends. So yeah, I feel like all places are kind of equal to me, but if I had to really choose one, I really love 노래방. And I feel like the world should have more of that. Pride.
Good one. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with like all the Yonsei swag all around.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, the spirit. I would say this is actually quite surprising. Because like, so for JSIS students, Bachelor of International Studies, so for some reason, if not most of our classes are at the new Millennium Hall. So it's like kind of on, it's not in the main campus area. You have to go through the back, pass through that like little forest area when you cross the path, and then you'll see like new Millennium Hall. So it's kind of like on the edge or on the corner of the campus. And yeah, I've never had classes like at the main campus or just any other hall. So I was basically just stuck there. So, initially I didn't have any like positive feelings about that because like, I want to explore more. I want to have classes at like other halls. But after graduating and, now I'm here in Shanghai, like, what? I kind of miss those times. So I would say I kind of miss New Millennium Hall just for like, not just classes, but just like, going to get my daily coffee at like the Tiktabang or getting my convenience foods at like the, what's it called? E-marts, yeah. And just like meeting friends through there, like, catching up with them. I think that's probably the thing I miss the most. Yeah, I really hope my answers or like my insights were helpful from this interview. Yeah, it's always nice to kind of reconnect, with these topics. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, can't believe it's been like pretty much a year since I graduated. So yeah, just happy to kind of like relive those moments again through this interview. And yeah, it's an honor. So thank you so much.